Hey Geek, so this is an Apple MacBook, and this over here is also an Apple MacBook. Everybody's very familiar with Apple and their products, and also all the qualities that go with it. And today I want to talk about the build quality, not of these Apple MacBooks, but of this right here. This is the Framework 13 laptop, and I've had this for a little over 6 months. And this is probably going to be the complete opposite of the philosophy of what Apple has versus Framework. What I mean by that is whenever you buy an Apple product, okay, your ability to upgrade, repair, and fix, it's going to be extremely limited versus something like a Framework where this is built for that. Meaning that with this product, you could actually basically repair almost everything on this laptop yourself. Whereas with Apple products, typically you're not going to be able to do that, at least not without voiding the warranty, and you're going to have to send it into, some type of Apple product support, and obviously pay a little bit more money for that privilege. And even though Windows laptops, they are more repairable, they are more upgradable than Apple products, there's no laptop, at least right now, that offers that. And that's one of the big reasons, and probably the main reason why I got this. And so now that I've had it for over 6 months, let's talk about the build quality, because this is something that if you are thinking about buying this, that you might be thinking about, especially if you're coming from an Apple product like this. So let me go ahead and give you the real talk on the product. And I'm going to go right out and say it. The quality on this is not as good as an Apple product, build quality wise. With that being said, whenever I first got this, I was really impressed with the overall quality of it. It does kind of look like an Apple MacBook. If you actually look at this and then you look at an Apple MacBook from afar, they're very similar. It's only when you get closer and you actually touch the product that you know that there is a difference. So I will say the overall build quality, physical build quality, finish and everything, I think is really good for what you're getting. It's a very thin laptop. And I'm not going to say it's near Apple's quality, but I will say that I'm actually surprised at the overall quality of this. And then when it comes to other things, like the keyboard and stuff, I think it's a good keyboard. It has a good, large touchpad. But for some reason, it's just not quite as consistently responsive, especially this whole mouse pad. And so I don't think it is the best, but it's not the worst. It's somewhere in the middle. And the screen, I think the screen is good for what it is. Okay. Now, one thing that the Framework laptop has very similar to an Apple MacBook, but not quite at that level, is this is expensive. Okay. This is a very small company. So for what you're paying, you're not getting anywhere near as much power as an Apple MacBook or even a equivalently priced Windows laptop. So that's something that I definitely want to put out there. At least right now, maybe as the company grows, they'll be able to offer better prices because they'll be able to sell more products and then get these parts at lower costs. And so in terms of build quality overall, I would say this is a good laptop. Okay, it is a very thin, small laptop. And I'm talking about the physical build quality. Now, there are some other things that I wish they can improve, primarily heat management. And also this overall mouse pad, I'm not the biggest fan. And the keyboard, I think it works well. I mean, it's better than most keyboards I've used for the laptops that I buy. I don't really buy expensive laptops. So this is probably the most expensive laptop that I've ever purchased. And once again, going back to the overall repairability, upgradability, that's what really sells me on that. But if you're just thinking purely build quality, is it as good as an Apple product? No. Maybe in the future they might be able to improve that, but if you're coming from the world of Apple products, it's going to be really hard to find quality at that level. And I know you can get Windows laptops that are also very high quality, but I still think when it comes to build quality, I still got to kind of give it to Apple You know, I mean, they just build really, really great, high quality products, in my opinion, when it comes to the physical build quality. But whenever it comes to upgrading and repairability, Apple is probably one of the worst. I don't think there's very many people that could argue against that. So if you're looking for very high quality builds, the framework, it's not going to be at the top. It's going to be somewhere in the middle, or depending upon where you're coming from and what you're looking for, it might be below that. So those are just my honest thoughts on the overall build quality of the Framework 13 laptop. And especially if you compare it against something like an Apple MacBook or an Apple product. So if you actually had any thoughts on this, be sure to leave it in the comments area below. And if you did want to see my initial review on the Framework 13 laptop, I will leave a review on that in the description area below. So as always, if you did get value out of these videos, be sure to share, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you on another episode.